According to the proponents of eating small, frequent meals, the idea is that the more small meals you eat, the higher the thermic effect of food, because you'll burn energy here, burn energy here, burn energy here, and burn energy here. Hello there, and welcome back to these health diaries. My name is Daisy, aka D, and I am a certified health coach who is out here to address all the myths that are out there about weight loss. Yes, I know it's a very big goal, but we can get to it. And today we're going to be addressing the second myth, and that is you need to eat small, frequent meals in order to boost your metabolism. Is it just a myth or is it true? Let's get into it. First, I like to cover the nuances whenever it comes to a myth, because I understand that there are reasons that people believe in it. And the more you can understand people's perspective, the more you can address the rationale behind their beliefs, and the more you can understand whether they are correct or whether you're the one that's wrong. But in this case, it's not about my opinion. I deal with the scientific facts. So we're going to start with the rationale behind why people believe that eating small, frequent meals is beneficial to boosting their metabolism. And then I'm going to address that with scientific facts. And we're going to find out whether this is real or it's just another myth that's out there about weight loss. Let's start with the rationale behind the beliefs. Let's start with the thermic effect of food. The truth is that whenever you eat food, your body uses energy to digest and absorb it. As a result, people think that the more frequently that you eat, the more energy that you're using to digest that food. And as a result, they think that if you have maybe 6 small meals, you'll be burning more energy compared to if you had 2 large meals. The second one is blood sugar crashes. People think that the more you eat, the more your blood sugar remains level, and the less likely it is for your body to store excess energy as fat. And they think that by continuously eating, you keep your body from going into starvation mode. Moreover, they agree that preventing those blood sugar spikes and crashes is beneficial, especially for people who have insulin resistance and diabetes. As a result, they think that it's important for you to keep eating small meals frequently to prevent those blood sugar crashes. The third one is to prevent overeating. And this one has some rationale to it, because you know that people who often skip meals end up eating quite a lot when it's finally time to eat. Maybe someone skipped their breakfast and then they skip their lunch, and then when it's time to finally eat, maybe it's dinner, they end up eating a lot, and not just in terms of quantity, they also end up eating a very large amount of calories. So people believe that if you eat small, frequent meals, you're able to prevent, again, those blood sugar crashes that we talked about. By preventing them, by the time it's time to eat, you're not as ravenous as you would have been if you had been skipping meals. As a result, you end up eating just a small amount of food, and that results in a calorie deficit, because you're just eating small meals and you're keeping your blood sugar levels stable. And because you're not overeating at the end of the day, you end up finding that you're eating an amount of food whose calories equates to a calorie deficit, and you end up with weight loss. And the fourth one is hormonal balance, because our hunger and fullness levels come down to hormones. And people believe that by eating frequently, you're able to regulate your hunger and fullness hormones. And we're talking about ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin is your hunger hormone. The more you eat, the more your ghrelin levels reduce, and as a result, you end up feeling less ravenous and you end up eating less food. And they believe that this influences your metabolism positively. So those are the 4 reasons why people may back the idea that eating small, frequent meals can boost your metabolism. Now let's talk about the science. The first thing we need to talk about again is the thermic effect of food, because we're going to be addressing the same things that we talked about previously. Now, when you look at the thermic effect of food, according to the proponents of eating small, frequent meals, the idea is that the more small meals you eat, the higher the thermic effect of food, because you'll burn energy here, burn energy here, burn energy here, and burn energy here. But according to science, it's not about those small energy burns. Instead, the thermic effect of food comes down to the total amount of food that you've eaten during the day. It doesn't matter whether you had 3 small meals or 10 small meals or just 1 large meal. the thermic effect of food will remain the same. So if the thermic effect of food was X, if you had 10 meals, it will still be X if you have 2 large meals, or even if you have just 1 large meal. It does not change based on the number of meals that you eat. Second one, let's talk about the starvation mode. Because people often bring this up in relation to the blood sugar crashes. They think that by eating frequently, you're able to avoid the starvation mode, and that means that you don't end up storing your excess energy as fat. But is this really true? No. For starvation mode to come into effect, you have to be in a very severe caloric deficit and for a very long time. It won't happen because you went one day without eating your 3 meals and you ended up eating dinner at 10 p.m. It won't happen because you skipped meals maybe for 2 days and you ended up maybe trying a fast for those 2 days and then you ate on the third day. You still won't go into starvation mode. Starvation mode requires a severe caloric deficit continued over a prolonged time. And if you've ever seen someone who is starving, actually starving, then you can tell that this person has gone without food for a long time, and it shows. You're very unlikely to get into starvation mode by just skipping meals. And what about diabetic people and people with insulin resistance? Yes, it's beneficial for you to eat frequently because that helps balance your blood sugar, but that does not have an effect on your metabolism. Instead, that has an effect on your overall health, and it has an effect on your blood sugar levels, and that helps you perform better. So if your doctor tells you that you need to eat frequently, it's not because they're trying to raise your metabolism, it's because they're trying to make sure that your blood sugar levels are balanced and to avoid the adverse effects that can come from blood sugar crashes and spikes. Most importantly, and this is the third one, is that scientific research that has been conducted on people who eat small frequent meals compared to people who eat large meals and very infrequent meals, but then they are large, they'll find that there is no difference between their weight loss or their fat oxidation. And I'll insert some studies here and in the description so that you can also look at that. In fact, the studies showed that it actually comes down to the total caloric intake. So if you're eating 10 small frequent meals, maybe spread out through the day, and you're eating 2,500 calories and your maintenance calories is 2,000, then you'll end up gaining weight. It doesn't really matter how many times you eat. And if someone else is just eating one large meal and their caloric intake is maybe 2,500 calories and their maintenance calories are 2,000, they'll end up losing weight because it's still a matter of calories in versus calories out. But if you listened to my previous video or if you watched it, which I'll also link in the description below, you know that all calories are not equal. But from a calories in versus calories out perspective, it doesn't really matter how often you're eating, it just comes down to the total number of calories at the end of the day. So now we've looked at why people think that eating small frequent meals is beneficial and what the science is. So is there a way that we can marry the two? Of course, and that's what we do on this channel. So let's talk about what you can do to actually boost your metabolism. But before we get into that, I would like to add that I have a metabolism boosting challenge that takes 28 days and it's geared at helping you boost your metabolism. And yes, there are ways that you can boost your metabolism without eating small frequent meals throughout the day. And it's called Fix Your Metabolism in 28 Days, and I'll link it down below if you'd like to check that out because it takes 4 weeks, and of course I had a bonus week and you get the whole package once and you can use it for a lifetime. So whenever you're feeling a bit sluggish, you can just pop in there and work on your metabolism using proven strategies backed by science. So now let's get into what you can do to marry the two between the myth and the facts. And yes, there is a way. First, you need to build muscle mass. I know that recently there has been a surge in the number of women who want to build muscle. I am one of them. I don't know if you can see my muscle through this, but I have really worked on my muscle mass over the past few years. And I like muscle. And it's not just about the aesthetic that comes with the muscle. Muscle looks good, but it's not just there for looking at. It also has functional value, especially when it comes to metabolism. How so? Muscle is way more metabolically active compared to fat. And that's why you'll see a bodybuilder or someone with a lot of muscle mass will pretty much eat anything at any time. And they don't seem to be gaining weight as fast as someone else would. It doesn't mean that they can eat anything, but they have a bit more leeway when it comes to what they can eat. And that's because their muscle is metabolically active, way more than fat. And that means that even when they're sitting down or sleeping, their muscle is burning calories. That's just the perfect way to lose weight. Just have muscle and your body will be working for you. It's like when they say invest maybe in bonds or shares so that your money can work for you. It's the same thing with muscle, because it will be burning calories at rest. And the more muscle you have, the higher your resting metabolic rate. So maybe when other people are at 1200 for their RMR, and then you'll be a bit higher. And that means you can eat more, which is a really good thing. But how exactly do you build more muscle? If you're a beginner in weight training, you can start going to the gym maybe once or twice every week. And then you can increase that. But then the way to go about it is to engage in progressive overload, which is where you increase the amount of weights that you're lifting as well as the reps. But that takes time. Just be consistent. Just keep going at it. If you can get a fitness trainer to help you, you can do that. Or you can find free videos on YouTube, which is what many people do. And if you'd like a recommendation, I'll recommend Fitness Blender. Their videos are very easy to follow, and you can really build muscle just by following what they're doing. Secondly, you need protein. Anyone who has built muscle will tell you that protein is king. It's not just something that people say. You need protein, not just to repair, but also to build that muscle. But it's not just about muscle. Protein also has a higher thermic effect of food, which means that your body uses more energy to burn protein than it would to burn fats and carbs. And as a result, you end up burning more calories just from eating. Of course, there's a limit to it, but compared to fat and carbs, protein has a higher thermic effect. And protein is also very filling. It makes you feel fuller for longer, and that reduces your need to snack, and it also makes it easier for you to focus on other things instead of thinking about what you're going to have for your next snack or your next meal. Protein is really good for you. The third one is to work out more. I know I talked about building muscle mass, but now we're going to talk about general workouts. And in this case, we're talking about things like yoga, walking, swimming. Just find something that you enjoy and engage in that maybe once or twice a week. Again, we always want to start small, because when it comes to weight loss, what really matters is what is on your plate. It doesn't really matter how you're working out or when you're working out. You can lose weight successfully without working out. It's been done, you can do it. But at the same time, it's always nice to work out. It's not just good for you physically, because it helps you maintain your bone density and build muscle mass, but it's also good for your heart. When we're talking about your cardiovascular health, you need to be working out so that you can get that heart rate up. It's good for your mind. Somehow when you work out, you end up with all of these endorphins that just make you feel better. It's just a really good way for you to work on your mental and physical health. Find a way to incorporate resistance training with cardiovascular training. And so that means maybe you do walking on one day, that's steady state working out, and then on another day you do your strength training. Slowly, by doing this, you end up creating a system where your body is burning calories even when you're at rest. The fourth one is that you need to sleep better. I know we live in a world where we are always told to work harder. You need to be on the grind, you need to be making money. There's always something to do, and there's always something that's on your to-do list, and it's very hard for you to get all of that done in 24 hours. And for that reason, people end up kind of compromising on their sleep, because maybe they think that they'll do better with maybe 6 hours, 5 hours, and maybe that will serve you for a while. But when you're talking about boosting your metabolism and losing weight, you need to sleep more and better. And that doesn't just refer to how many hours you're sleeping. It also depends on how much rest you're getting from that sleep. Ideally, you should get about 7 to 9 hours of sleep. That's assuming you're a typical adult and you're in good health, because some people need more hours than 9 hours. At the same time, you also need to think about the quality of sleep that you're getting. Are you waking up feeling fully rested? Are you having fragmented sleep? These are things that you need to consider, because yes, you might be in bed for 9 hours, but you only slept for 5 of those. You need to find a way to have more quality sleep, and that's something you can work on with your doctor. It's also something that you can work on by yourself by looking at resources that can help with that. I'll later create a guide on maybe how you can sleep better, and in that case we'll get into the nuances of sleep quality and quantity. But for now, I'll leave you with this: get more sleep, make sure it's of more quality. You need it. And to add to that, the less rested you are, the more you're likely to feel hungry. You notice that on such a day, you're likely to reach for high sugar and high salt foods, because you're trying to get more energy, subconsciously or even consciously. But when you're sleeping more, you end up realizing that you're not as hungry as you used to be, because you're not really relying on external sources of energy. Finally, stay hydrated. This is point number 5. Hydration will always be important to your health, whether or not you're on a weight loss journey. It doesn't really matter what kind of health journey you're pursuing, whether it's weight loss, weight gain, weight management, muscle building, you always need water, because water is essential for all your metabolic processes. Even a little hydration can have a very significant effect on your body's functions. To prevent this, now this is where you can now aim for small and frequent hydration throughout the day, because drinking a lot of water at once is also not good. So you can maybe just drink maybe some water when you wake up, some water between your breakfast and your lunch, some water in the afternoon, slowly and slowly, so that it builds up. Again, the amount of water needed for each person is going to vary based on where you live, your age, your height, your weight. There are so many factors to consider in this, so you'll need to calculate your individual needs. I know they say 8 glasses of water, and that can work for one person, but another person might find that they need more. At the same time, another person might need water that has electrolytes as compared to plain water. You need to figure out what's essential for you. But if you're not drinking water, just start by drinking some more water, and then you can figure out the nuances of how much water you need and whether you need to add electrolytes much later. And that brings us to the end of this session. And as you can see, eating small, frequent meals will not necessarily boost your metabolism. Instead, it comes down to calories in versus calories out. And if you want to increase your calories out, you need to reach for more nutrient-dense foods. You need to work on that muscle mass. You need to start working out a bit more, not too much, a bit more, hydrating more, and sleeping better. These are the things that will help you boost your metabolism. And of course, if you need a guide that will help you just go through all of these processes very easily, and it's very guided and it helps you work through each one, you can always use my Boost Your Metabolism in 28 Days method. And it's actually more like 5 weeks, because I always add a bonus week, and it works for everyone, including vegetarians and meat eaters, because I offer 2 standard approaches. That said, I would like to know your thoughts on whether you think that this is yet another myth, or what you think about this. I'll be debunking more myths as we go on, and if you missed my last one, you can always use the playlist down below to find out what I had to say about whether all calories are equal. And yes, they are not, but I don't want to spoil it for you. That said, I am really grateful that you got to the end of this video. You can leave me an emoji of your choice down in the comments, or let me know what you think. Until next time, bye bye.